And put your hands together for Dan, everyone.
Yeah, Dan. All right, good evening, everyone. So, I joined the military at 19 years old and got out when I was 23 with this proposal of a job that I was going to work at Intel with my older brother down in Phoenix. So I was stationed in Colorado. And I take the long 12-hour drive down there, and I'm down there for about 3 or 4 days and realize that this job has now dissolved, and I no longer have employment after I got out of the military. So I'm there for about 3 or 4 months, and I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to do, and I get a call from my younger cousin and my little brother that they're doing horse shows out east. I'm in Phoenix. Any equestrians in here tonight? 1, 2. So horse shows, let me give you a little backstory on that. So what you do is there's this big riding arena, and they have jumps in there. So 50 horses will sign up for a class. They'll come in, they'll each jump, and you have to sign up how to do that. You have to have people come in and build the rings, take care of the stabling, take care of the feed and bedding. So that's what they wanted me to come and do. So I'm like, sure, I have all kinds of experience doing that, not at all, since, nothing. So I go there and I kind of make my way through. 6 months or a year later, I'm kind of running my own crew. I have about 14 guys working for me. And we end up in Nashville, Tennessee. Anyone ever been to Nashville? It's a great town, great town. So we're kind of like carny folk. We're living out of suitcases. We're living out of hotels. Every couple weeks we're going to a new town. We have just a really, really good time. So we're in Nashville. What better place to have a good time? And we go into the city that night. And we're drinking and we're drinking and we're drinking. And I end up talking to this bouncer. I thought I was pretty polite, but apparently I wasn't. And he asked me to leave the bar. So I go and hunt down a few of my friends, and I'm like, all right, I'm being asked to leave. They need more seats at the bar. So I make my way out, and they're like, Dan, don't go anywhere. We'll meet you right out front. So the last thing I remember is being woken up by a cab driver shaking me. And we're at your hotel, you're at your hotel. And I'm like, oh, great, that's exactly where I need to be right now. So I make my way upstairs, and then the next thing I remember is I'm leaning up like this, and I have my hands over my knees, and I'm leaning against the wall, and I hear this, Dan. I open my eyes, and she's like, would you like a towel? I'm like, towel? Why do I want a towel? I look down, and I'm naked. So I'm like, yes, I would love a towel. And so she runs back into her room, and I stand up, and I look down, and I'm naked. So I go back downstairs. I wasn't even on my floor, and I go to my hotel door, and it's propped open, and the thing's latched open. I'm like, well, that's great. That's convenient. And I walk in, and my clothes are on the ground. My bed's a mess. I'm like, well, obviously I've made it here, so that's a good thing. This is like 6:30 in the morning. We have to be at work at 7 in the morning. So I get to work, and I pull up where Jump Crew parks, and my boss comes over in his golf cart, pull right over, and he's like, Dan, hop in. I'm like, oh, great. So I sit down, and he's like, where'd you sleep last night? I'm like, at the hotel. And he goes, well, where at the hotel? And I'm like, on the second floor. And he goes, well, where on the second floor, Dan? I'm like, what are you getting at, Tim? And he looks at me and he goes, well, you can't be waking up naked in the hallway. So I was like, this is not something you need to be telling a grown man. I know I don't need to be waking up naked in the hallway. And then we motor around a little further, and I'm starting doing my job, and then I look down and my phone rings, and I'm like, oh, great. It's my little brother, who also does horse shows, by the way, and he's in Wellington, Florida. And I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, Rob, what's going on? And he goes, hey, Dan, where'd you wake up this morning? I'm like, are you kidding me? This is literally 45 minutes after waking up naked in the hallway. And that's my small world story. Dan, everybody.